So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about this night media conspiracy or controversy, whatever you want to call it. Now, the substance of the actual controversy or conspiracy or whatever you want to call it itself is not really that fascinating to me. What's more fascinating is the video that Asmongold put out called Addressing the Allegations. That video was interesting because it is a textbook example of how not to respond to something like this. They should actually do a case study on this. This is not how you respond. He comes across as petulant. He skips through the majority of the video, doesn't even bother watching it, goes on some tirade. Oh, you know what makes me mad? You know what makes me, Asmongold the streamer, mad? Is when people say things when they don't know what they're talking about. Dude, that's your entire career. You react to things that you don't know anything. It's like, and that's not a personal attack against you. That's just a reality of the profession that you're in. Your picture is next to Hassan. So I understand why you would get a little bit irritated. If my channel was ever next to Hassan, because we had like similar views, I would be absolutely mortified. I would be apoplectic. Because it would mean that I had a stroke and a seizure and a lobotomy at the same time and lowered my IQ by probably 100 points. And I would have to look back at my family lineage to see if maybe I wasn't inbred for like 7 or 8 generations. Like, I would be depressed if I ever had my face next to Hassan Piker. So I get it. I get it from that standpoint. Like, you're being put right up next to Hassan, almost like a mugshot, and being like, these guys are bad and they're all connected to this. But the reality is that what the guy was saying was not disproven by you in your video. You threw a temper tantrum. You called them dumb. They don't know what they're talking about. I know what I'm talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. I don't like people like this. And then you skip through the whole video. Dude, you had a temper tantrum. Which, you can. But it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing because you had an opportunity to take the certain things that he was saying and make a reasonable, articulate argument. And basically turn it into an advantage. That's what Donald Trump is famous for. Every attack on Donald Trump has failed and failed spectacularly. There's a reason why nothing has worked against this guy. Because he is very, very, very media savvy and very, very good at taking these slings and arrows that are aimed at him and not just blocking them or deflecting them, but shooting them right back. And that's not what Asmongold did. He didn't take this guy or this channel and specifically cut the points piece by piece to work in his favor. He reacted to it like a petulant streamer. Like somebody, I don't even have to be bothered addressing this because I'm so much better than this guy and I'm so much better than you. Which is part and parcel for a lot of the attitudes that these streamers have. Their egos are out of control. And I gotta tell you, I'm always fascinated. Maybe it's because of my upbringing. But I saw people around me on my mother's side and my father's side. They worked for everything that they had and they were highly successful in all of their fields and contributed greatly to not just themselves, but their family, their community. They actually had an impact. They actually did something worthwhile. And I look at these streamers and I go, what the fuck did any of you ever do? Nothing. You never did anything. Most of it, like Asmon's like, oh, I work for the IRS. When he said that, I was like, oh my God, that's really embarrassing. Working for the IRS, one of the most despised agencies in America. Like, holy shit. And what's worse is Hassan. I mean, I don't even want to get into Hassan. I could do an entire video on that, but holy criminy. I think I better just start playing a little bit of this video from Asmongold and I'll do a reaction. But I wanted to really highlight the fact that I do not like the attitude that a lot of these streamers have because they're just so casually arrogant and they've done nothing to warrant it. They call other people stupid while being the stupid, most immoral people I've ever seen. Godless, degenerate, heathen scum almost universally, almost across the board. There are very few exceptions to that. Very few exceptions. And yet they have the audacity to call you and the audience stupid because you don't agree with them. Get fucked.
Uh-oh. That's supposed, yeah, there we go.
Knight Media is a company that helps manage and represent various content creators and online influencers, most of which you've probably heard of. Their talent roster includes the top 3 English-speaking Twitch streamers in the entire world: Hassan Avi, Asmongold, and Kai Sinat, and also Kai Sinat's entire content team called AMP, which includes Black Boy Max, Phantom, Sophia Nygaard, Pursuit of Growth and Success, Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
So there was a bunch of people that they listed. I'm trying to fast forward a little bit because it doesn't matter everyone they have on their roster. It just matters that it's the top 3 streamers. And they have people that are prominent in YouTube, TikTok, all these other places.
Functionally, Knight Media helps content creators in their pursuit of growth and success, while also hooking them up with brand deals and various sponsorships. That being said, beyond that, Knight Media also receives an insane amount of money from outside investors.
It's actually not true. Usually, so the way that a lot of talent management companies work is that talent management companies generally don't have any insight or oversight over what talent does. The way that a lot of
sponsorships. That being said, beyond the pursuit of growth and success, while also hooking them up with brand deals and various sponsorships. That being said, beyond that, Knight Media also receives an insane amount.
Generally don't have.
So Asmongold paused there. I wanted to rewind it back to listen to what he said a second time. So Asmon is apparently pretending here like these agencies don't help their content creators get exposure. Well, then what the fuck is the point? Well, what is? Of course they do. Of course they do. I've seen it in real time, and all of you have too. When you see these collabs that don't seem to make sense, like why would that person collab with that person? For example, there was a collaboration between Moist Critical and Hassan. It was weird. It was out of nowhere. They don't really have much overlap, but it happened. And it was during the advertisement for Multiverses, where randomly Hassan and Moist Critical find themselves on the same stream, on the same lobby, and they're playing this game together. So it is a tough pill to swallow, especially when you're in Asmongold's position here, to expect people to believe that these ad agencies don't have people that try to put this stuff together in order to promote not only themselves, but their talent agency, their talent, their influence, to try to sell it to other people. Because that's usually how you get people in. Usually with these agencies, they'll say, well, like, if you come with us, we're going to promote you. We're going to help you out. You'll have access to other people. That's the sales pitch. Asmon is saying, well, no, they're kind of hands off. No, they're not. Otherwise, there's no reason that anyone would ever choose a manager agency ever. Oh, I'm going to give you a portion of the money I make for free? Whew.
Any insight or oversight. Why would you want to go around and tell people what to say and what not to say, etc.? And so,
if it benefits the company, you absolutely would. If you say, look at the people that we have on our roster, you could potentially get a collaboration with Mr. Beast. In fact, we got Mr. Beast on the line right here. You could have a conversation with him. All you got to do, sign on that dotted line. You're part of the big leagues now. That's how these people get in with a lot of these companies. Now, Asmongold, I think, is either being disingenuous here, or he is the rarity. Where people are like, yeah, we don't really want to collab with Asmongold. Or maybe it's because he has his own agency. Maybe he does things differently from his end, but the reality is that what he's saying is bunk. And we know it's bunk. There's nobody listening to this, even in Asmon's audience, is going to be foolish enough to believe that there's going to be a content creator who's going to give up their money for nothing. You get, with that partnership, access to other content creators on a scheduled basis. I'm not saying you can just jump onto their stream, but that sort of influence and that sort of connection to have, an interpersonal relationship. It's Vishojo, for example. Those people are independent, but they do collabs all the time. Because why wouldn't you? Vishojo looks good. There's interconnectivity. There's, multiverse bending and shit. That's why they do it. For their own reputation and so that they can promote that to other people in their portfolio.
The way the answer for it doesn't happen.
Over 100 million
My experience.
For instance, in 2022, Knight Media received over $100 million in investment capital from the Sheridan Group, also known as TCG, so that Knight Media can continue to, quote, invest in creators and manage their roster of online social media influencers.
Yeah.
From TCG's own website, they claim to invest in companies that are seeking to, quote, define culture.
Of course.
Of note, in 2012, TCG received $200 million from investors led by the Providence Equity Group and another $700 million from various undisclosed investors in 2019. On their website, the Providence Equity Group says, quote, our diversity and inclusion D&I committee leads Providence's efforts to build and preserve a diverse culture within our firm and assist in the diversity efforts of our portfolio companies.
Yeah.
So I knew he was going to stop after that. And what you're about to experience is basically a guy tap dancing. He's basically going to try to tap dance his way out of it because he doesn't like what it has to say. And you're going to listen to a very pathetic man go on a very pathetic tirade about, if I don't like something that somebody says, I'm just going to ban them. I mean, just take a listen. I mean, and it gets to the heart of it. It's just, I have nothing against Asmongold personally. I just truly despise this sort of mindset and the way of thinking that a lot of these content creators have. I just don't like it. It rubs me the wrong way. It's sort of like, when you have two animals, you have like a cat and a dog. Asmongold's a cat and I'm a dog. And we're not simpatico. Like, there may be some things that we agree on, like, sniffing butts is okay, to greet each other. But other than that, Asmongold wants to eat, raw fish, and I want to eat meat. We're different people with different perspectives. But Asmongold's about to go on a tantrum and a tirade because his feelings got a little hurt listening to that.
Comment really struck a chord. I mean, I think that I feel like one thing is that the reason why it annoys me whenever people talk about this is because it is stupid people that don't know what they're talking about presenting themselves as if they are thoughtful and insightful. And I always hate when stupid people get together and collectively agree that their stupid delusions aren't stupid.
Oh my God. The lack of self-awareness is breathtaking because that is, to a T, streamers. That is streamers. Almost all of them. That is streamers. Do I need to replay that? Anyone out there, listen, hey, is this thing on? Does that not perfectly, listen, whatever you may think of me, whatever you may think of Asmon, does that not to a T describe content creators, streamers, people within the left-wing echo chamber on Twitch and other platforms? Does that not sound exactly like them? So the absolute goal to be like, this guy is pointing out that there's a connection between the top content creators and the agency that they're all part of and these giant shady DEI gross woke corporation zombie monsters. Asmon's like, I don't like that they make the connection. It's like, dude, get over it.
Insightful. Annoys me whenever people talk.
companies.
Yep. Night Vita, comment really struck a chord. Yeah, I mean, I think that I feel like one thing is that the reason why it annoys me whenever people talk about this is because it is stupid people that don't know what they're talking about presenting themselves as if they are thoughtful and insightful. And I always hate when stupid people get together and collectively agree that their stupid delusions aren't stupid.
Oh my God. He just described games journalists, movie critics, pretty much most of Hollywood, the streamer spaces that he runs in. I mean, most of these content creators. That is the perfect textbook definition of most of the people that Asmongold surrounds himself with and who he is himself. And yet he's saying that it annoys him because he looks at that and finds it in other people. But the only thing this guy is doing is highlighting this thing that exists, and Asmon has provided no counter. That's really what it is. He's provided zero counter to this, which he could do. If he's this expert and everyone else is this dullard, this moron, then what a perfect opportunity to educate this person, put him in their place, own him. But he can't. Because the guy's full of shit. That's really what it is. And that's not a personal attack against him in real life. That is the performance he's putting on. That's the character he's playing. That's what he's putting out into the world. I'm only talking about this. Asmongold, the person, I'm sure he's just great. I'm sure he's swell. But this is what we have to go on. And what he just said there defines him when he's on the internet and nearly every other person that he would consider a friend or is friendly with. Not you. He's saying this about you. He's saying this, he doesn't like the plebs, the plebeians, having an opinion and getting too uppity. That's essentially what he's saying. He doesn't like you having an opinion and sharing your voice. He's not against you sharing your voice, but he doesn't want to see it, doesn't want to hear it. He's going to ban you, and we're going to get into that. He talks about his absolutely indefensible and pathetic posture of banning people that he disagrees with. That is such a pussy, beta, pathetic, low IQ, just dog shit way to approach that. Do you know that on my channel, I have never once banned a comment from anyone, and I've had people from communities that are amongst the most low IQ on the internet. I've had Hassan fans, Moist Critical fans. Asmongold fans are not that bad. They're actually more like a 5 out of 10. I did a whole video on that. But I have dealt with some of the most simpish, low IQ, desperate, pathetic people online. And I have never once banned their comment. And the reason why I describe them in that way is not because they have an opinion that disagrees with me. It's because they came to my channel and left a comment continuously that is so shockingly stupid that really I think that I am in a position to make that determination. Not somebody that's not attacking me personally, but just making a point that I don't like because it has my name in it and it makes me look really, really bad. But what Asmongold doesn't understand is that the video itself didn't make him look as bad as his video responding to it.
It annoys me. It does. And so that's the reason why it strikes a chord with me. Because I see a bunch of people that don't know what they're talking about, that draw conclusions. Like, is this really a big surprise that a big company is getting investment capital from other big companies? You could make this same video about any company.
But they're not. They're highlighting the connection to the top content creators in the world, Asmon. You just don't like that it's happening to you. That's it. That really is it. You'd be happy if they were talking about Disney, the mega corporation, but people are talking about you and Hassan and other people that have this connection to this company that seems to be into some shady shit. I'm just saying, people are highlighting this, and your apprehensive attitude is really quite interesting.
All of these companies are interconnected. That's the way it goes. You're painting with such a broad brush that effectively it doesn't matter what you categorize.
Alright, so if you want to go watch the rest of the video, you can. It's just more pathetic whimpering and excuse making, and I'm not liking what you're saying, so I'm just going to ban you if you say something that irritates me. Ladies and gentlemen, I always use these videos as a teachable moment to try to explain not only why I have such a profound dislike and distaste for content creators and their ego and their attitude and their feeling that they're better than you, because they're absolutely not. I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm not trying to be rude or disrespectful. I'm really not. But if you look at the wealth of content creators, you look at the majority of them, and you look at their contributions to mankind, you look at what they've done, what talents do they really have, and usually you're left with not very much. They're people like Hassan. Useless in every regard. So, I watch a video like that. I feel compelled to do a video responding to it. And again, I do this as a hobby. I do this for fun. I would rather delete my channel than join some kind of talent agency or something at all reminiscent of that, or at all like that. I don't need people to promote me. I don't want to be part of these groups. I just find these people horrible, if I'm honest. They're the worst. I don't like them. I don't. You know, it's their attitude. It's the most ungrateful, unhumble attitude that I've ever seen. The way they treat. All right. At the end here, I'll give you my true opinion. All right? I'll tell you how I feel about these people in a more concise way. I think these people are worthless. They're worthless in almost every regard. They don't do anything particularly well. They're not particularly good looking or charismatic or dynamic, or they really don't have much. But with the charity of their audience, the benevolence of their audience, they're thrust into a position where they could have a life that some people can only dream of. And they would not be in the position that they are in but for the money that's given to them by other people. Now, eventually there were sponsorships. Eventually there was money, and these people invested it and then it made a whole bunch more money. But without the money from the initial investments, without the money from the initial people, the eyeballs on the product, the super chats, the donations, none of these people would have anything except for Hassan, who was rich in the first place. But they wouldn't be the millionaires that they are today but for you. You, the audience. So, I think that these people should show you just a little bit more respect when they talk about you, even if they disagree. It's just my personal opinion. Anyway, that'll do it for today's video. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you next time.